Tonight, a national champion will be crowned. Actually, this time I'm not lying. It'll be against a team we are oh so familiar with, the University of Michigan. Within this 5-year series, this will be the 4th time we play against the Wolverines, the 3rd of which to come in the postseason, and the 2nd time we'll see them in the national championship. The Wolverines look to be the first undefeated team in the history of the series. We've never had a school go undefeated in the regular season and sweep through the college football playoff, but they have a chance to do it tonight. Their roster is loaded. Up front, look at all these good offensive linemen. Their 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 7th best players are offensive linemen. Their 3rd stringers are in the high 80s. Those guys would be All-Americans just about anywhere else. The redshirt senior C.J. Carr in at quarterback, of course backed up by the former Jayhawk Isaiah Marshall, who was on our sideline when we played against these guys in year 1. It's been an up and down journey for Carr, who has a national title as a backup at Notre Dame behind Jay Pitts. He was supposed to be the long-term starter for the Irish, but he lost multiple quarterback battles against multiple different QBs. Transfers to Michigan where he wins the job, has a rough first season as a starter, throwing 20 interceptions, but was a lot better this year as a senior. This is still a ground and pound run first team though. Kane Kunashik is the heartbeat and the soul of this Michigan squad. 92 overall junior running back, statistically the 2nd best player at the position in the country, only behind Cornell Teamer, who he will be playing against today. Michigan's got good depth behind him, featuring redshirt freshman Greg Ayu, a player who we went after as a high school recruit and almost were able to land. I feel like our team is ready for the moment. We are built for this. Coming off a competitive semifinal win against Kentucky, wasn't always perfect. We only scored 3 points in the second half. Kerry Chosen threw 3 interceptions, all of which to the same player, Randy O'Dwyer, after only throwing 4 in his first 14 games of the year. However, Chosen has a chance to cap off his first season as a starter with a championship. Clyde Poole could win a championship today. And then as we look at the rest of the roster, Cornell Teamer in his final game as a Jayhawk before declaring for the NFL draft. If he plays well and leads us to a win, he may very well be the greatest player in the history of Kansas football. Other guys like Ty Lord, Amani Law, and others could be playing their last games as well, with potential NFL draft decisions on the way. I'm fascinated to see how our defense plays. Of course, we've got plenty of playmakers, whether it's up front going after the quarterback or in the secondary, specifically Javier Callaway, who has 3 interceptions through 2 playoff games. It's going to be a challenge against this run game, though. Kane Kunashik is as good as any back in the country, other than probably Cornell Teamer, and as we know, their offensive line is elite. This is a team we are no strangers with. As I mentioned earlier, let's go back all the way to Season 1, our Cinderella run to the national championship against Michigan. So the Jayhawks get the first down. They've now got it at the 5. Just over a minute to go. 1st and goal. Devin Neal walks it in! Touchdown! This clock stops anyway, and they're getting close. Now at the 41-yard line. On 1st down, it's a jet sweep for Samaj Morgan with space! Down the field! And he is gone! Touchdown, Michigan! Samaj Morgan puts the Wolverines ahead. This is it. Our season on the line. Daniels has time. He's going to get it there. For all the marbles, Daniels sends it up, tipped, incomplete! And that'll do it! Michigan has won the national championship! Our guys lost in heartbreaking fashion. The final game in the Kansas career of legends such as Jalen Daniels, Devin Neal, Kobe Bryant, and Marvin Grant. But most of our core was not on the roster during this game. They were on the roster 2 years later when we played against Michigan in the first round. But now Michigan, with a minute and a half, has new life. 2nd and 10. Looking deep. It's Frederick Moore! Touchdown, Michigan! The Wolverines take the lead. Poole looks to throw it, looking for the sideline. Incomplete! Anderson hands it back off for Kamara. Has space, and we're going to let him score. Michigan is up by 2 possessions with around 40 seconds left when the offensive line doesn't show up. Poole scrambles up the middle, tries to dive, but he fumbles, and it's picked up by Michigan! Michigan! Michigan beat us again, and this time it was with our current core of players. Whether they were starting, guys like Cornell Teamer and Amani Law, or maybe being redshirted like Kerry Chosen. We ended up playing Michigan in the regular season the following season, looking for revenge. Michigan has no choice but to punt it. First play of the drive for Kansas. Scotland Williamson going backwards. Runs around the defenders, has space, and there he goes! The true freshman, Nicholas Scotland Williamson, to the house! While it was nice finally beating Michigan once and for all, it was a regular season game. A little bit different than the playoffs, especially considering we still finished the year with a heartbreaking playoff loss in the semifinals against Alabama, finished off by this interception by college football playoff MVP Jalen Mbakwe, and what may have been the final throw in Clyde Poole's Kansas career. That brings us to season number 5, where these two teams are pretty clearly the two best teams in college football. This is not like season 1, where both of these teams snuck into the playoff. They played on the road in the first round and had to scratch and claw their way to get here. This time around, these are the two best teams in the country. Only one combined loss between the two of them, and that one loss we avenged by beating Arkansas in the Big 12 title game. We've got a lot to go through today, not just the national championship, but after the game, I'll be sharing some plans in terms of what to expect for the College Football 26 content cycle, which is starting tomorrow, along with finding out which of our players will be declaring for the NFL draft, and thus who will be in the first draft class in the Madden 26 series. Let's get this show on the road. It's been one hell of a ride, fellas. We finish off in Arlington the 2029 National Championship as Rodney Mama has it on the return, and he gets it to around the 20-yard line. An injured Michigan player will leave the field as we take our first look at this Jayhawk offense, who has averaged 36 points per game in our 2 playoff wins. But Kerry Chosen's thrown 4 interceptions after only throwing 3 in the entirety of the regular season, as Cornell Teamer gets around 10 yards. We're going to be giving Teamer the ball more than ever. This is his last game here. We know he's declaring for the NFL draft. We're going to get everything we can out of number 23. Chosen on the run with a strike for Amani Law. This could be his last game as well. The junior garnering NFL interest, especially after a pair of 100-yard games in the playoff. Oh my goodness, what a block! Teamer to the outside gets 18. That play was really aided by Kion Sample, the redshirt junior left guard, who flattens the defender. Oh my goodness! A quick start for the Kansas offense. Whenever we play against Michigan, it's always a defensive battle. Both offenses usually struggle, but so far we're having no issues marching down the field as Teamer gets another first down. 2nd and 3, it's a direct snap, and Teamer's going backwards. Chad O'Donnell, the All-American senior linebacker, brings him down, and that'll make it 3rd down and around 5. Chosen looking, it is broken up. In and out of the hands of Amani Law. Jameer Benjamin, who had a pick 6 in the win against Western Kentucky, is the one who makes the play. 29-yard field goal try from the left hash for Anthony Escalante is good. And the Kansas Jayhawks are on the board first as they lead it 3-0. Not a bad opening drive. We moved the ball really well, which is encouraging because every other time we've ever played against Michigan, our offense has not been good, regardless if it's Clyde Poole or Jalen Daniels under center. Here's our first look at the Wolverine offense. They scored 35 in a win against Western Kentucky in the semis. It was an impressive Cinderella run for the Hilltoppers, but they ran into a buzzsaw, being the University of Michigan. They're going to start at the 10 as Kane Kunashik loses a yard. Soma Satele brings him down. Kunashik had nearly 90 yards in the win against the Hilltoppers, but I really don't think he was that impressive. The Wolverines would get another first down as Greg Ayu goes up the middle for a strong run. The redshirt freshman, a really talented player who, again, we really tried to get, but ultimately committed to Michigan late in the process. Kunashik up the middle past the 50, where he's able to get the first down, wrapped up by Satele once again. Michigan only running the ball so far as it's a reverse. Some trickery. Quincy Mangum with the first down past the 30. There's an injured Jayhawk defender, Tremonti Coleman, the Kansas State transfer, grabbing at what looks like his lower back. Michigan has not thrown the ball once. They've ran it every single play, and to be fair, they've been successful. Finally, a pass. Carr scrambles on the run, and he throws it away. That's like the 8th play at the drive. They hadn't thrown it until then. 2nd and 10, they will go right. Nope, it's a play action. Carr on the run, up the middle, it is hauled in. Inside the 10-yard line by Sterling Popo, who had 2 touchdowns against Western Kentucky. 2nd and goal, Kunashik with open room ahead. Lowers the shoulder and he's in. Michigan drives down the field and opens up the game with a touchdown to take the lead 7-3. An impressive drive by the Wolverines. They only threw the ball twice, fully leaning on their run game, specifically Kane Kunashik, who makes it 7-3. Kansas back with it. Teamer gets a block, has space to the left side. Teamer down the field, gets it near the 50-yard line, a gain of around 30 for the standout junior who's had a historic season and looks to be a first-round pick in the upcoming NFL draft. Ty Lord in the game as it's a fake. Chosen will connect with the speedster Amani Law. Past the 30, breaks the defender's ankles. A nice play there by Law, who's been busy so far. Missed the final 4 games of the regular season, plus the Big 12 title, but has been great in the playoff with 100 yards in the first half of both games. Nicholas Scotland Williamson lowers the shoulder, gets the first down, and that'll wrap up the first quarter. The first 3 times we've played against Michigan in this series, all 3 games were low-scoring defensive slugfests, but that has not been the case today. Kansas averaging 10.5 yards per play. Michigan sits above 7. Both offenses, specifically both run games, have been dominant. To start the second, Chosen, risky throw up the middle. It's Pepper who breaks a tackle, and he is in. Dorian Pepper, the redshirt junior, puts Kansas ahead. An unlikely hero. Pepper's only career starts in his 4-year career is when Amani Law was injured at the end of this year. He's never really gotten his chance to shine, but he's always been a great teammate, never complains, does things the right way, and here he is, taking advantage of his opportunity in the national championship to put Kansas back on top. Drive number 2 for Michigan. Their first drive was a success. It's the tight end Hogan Hansen. Starts with an early first down, a gain of 17 for the redshirt senior. Michigan will go back to the ground. Kunashik finds the hole, fighting for yards as he's a little bit dinged up after the play. Not good news for Michigan. It's not a serious injury, but he'll have to take some plays off, and it'll be Greg Ayu in the backfield to replace him. Hansen in motion. Ayu gets it up the middle. He averaged 10 yards a carry against Western Kentucky and has been very effective so far against the school who he almost committed to. They're going to go to the third-string running back here. Everybody's eating. That's Makari James, the redshirt senior, with a gain of 13 yards. Michigan's second drive looks a lot like their first. They are running it down our throats as IU gets another first down for the Wolverines. Kunashik back in the game. He gets it up the middle with plenty of space, breaks the tackle, and he's in. 2 first-half touchdowns for Kane Kunashik, and our run defense, which has been really good throughout most of the year, has looked really bad to start this game against Michigan. Kunashik so far has 10 carries for 68 yards. Cornell Teamer also has 68 yards, but on just 5 carries as he gets it to the right side. Another first down for Teamer, who has looked the part here in the championship so far. This one's coming back, though, a holding on the left tackle Reggie Chanel, the redshirt sophomore, who's had an All-American-esque season and is likely to not only declare for the draft after this game, but probably be a high pick. Nicholas Scotland Williamson gets a couple. We've got another flag, and this one's coming back again on the other star offensive lineman, Luis Roche. Roche and Chanel have been our 2 best linemen this year. They're both getting called for holdings. 3rd and 23, back at the 7. Chosen unwinds the clip, and it's caught! Amani Law with a gain of 50! And the Jayhawks keep the drive going with a first down. What a play by Kerry Chosen and Amani Law to save the drive. Play action. Chosen connects with Rajon Jones, who gets it past the 30. Following play, it's Amani Law again, his 4th catch of the first half, nearing the 100 yards mark again. as he brings it inside the 20 to the 16. Ty Lord gets it on first down, but he's going backwards. Finally, a good play by the Michigan defense. Chad O'Donnell there to bring him down. Teamer gets it on second down. Whoop! The juke move, and he gets it to around the 5. 7 carries, 84 yards. Teamer has been awfully effective so far. Second and goal. Chosen dances around, scrambles, has room, and runs it in for a touchdown. Kansas regains the lead off of the scramble and score for Kerry Chosen. 3 drives, 17 points for the offense. We are moving it really well after only scoring 13 points in the national championship back in year 1. We didn't score a touchdown until the final minute of the game. Carr is sacked by Santiago Herrera. Finally, a big defensive play. We've been needing one, as it's a loss of 9. The redshirt sophomore linebacker continuing his impressive season, and a guy who I think is probably going to come back next year and play an even bigger role. Now, as we know, this defense does not play well behind the sticks, and in a game that's currently looking like a shootout, and we need all the stops we can get, we cannot let them get a first down. So this is not good. Even though they didn't convert, they get 16 yards with Sterling Popo, making it a 3rd and very manageable. It's going to be a jet sweep. Mangum with a block gets the first down. And despite the big sack by Santiago Herrera, with Michigan behind the sticks, it doesn't matter. They still end up getting the first down. A huge play for the Wolverines. Here is Carr under pressure. Now he has all day, and he connects. We've got to bring him down at some point sooner. It's Quincy Mangum again who makes the play for Michigan. Following play, Carr goes back to the air. Mangum again to the 45, and working through the 2-minute drill, Michigan finally has to throw the ball, and they're doing it well. Carr wants it all for the end zone. It's caught! Quincy Mangum in for a touchdown, and Michigan is back ahead. When they could not run the ball because of the clock and are forced to throw it, they still move it down the field well with an incredible throw for a score by C.J. Carr. We had 3 guys back there, but none of them were able to get to the ball. Tremonti Coleman was the closest. The problem is he's dealing with that back injury, so he's moving a little bit slower. 21-17, Wolverines ahead late in the half. Chosen, play action, up the middle. He's got Amani Law for the first down past the 45. Now looking at a 3rd down and 1. We'll see if Kansas can convert. It's Teamer, and he does not get it. Michigan with the stop, and we've got a decision to make. Do we chew clock and punt it, or do we go for it? How about both? We're going to let the clock go, but keep the offense out on the field. It seems like a strange call, but the thought process here is that if we don't get it, Michigan's not going to have enough time to do anything. And if we do get it, we'll use a timeout here. We'll still have 2 in our back pocket, and we'll have enough time to run a few more plays. As Scotland Williamson does convert, we're going to use our first timeout, and we've got enough time to get a couple plays together and at minimum put ourselves in field goal range. Hopefully we can get a little bit more than that. Chosen on first down is intercepted! Chad O'Donnell picks it off, and our once foolproof plan, well, it turns out that there were some bullet holes in there. O'Donnell with the interception, and Michigan gets it back. Kerry Chosen has now thrown 5 interceptions in 5 halves in the playoff after only 3 interceptions in the regular season and conference title game. Now, the good thing about our 4th down plan is that Michigan's not going to have enough time to score. Good run by Kunashik. He gets around 9, but that's not really going to do anything in the grand scheme of things. And that'll wrap up the first half. It's been a good one here in Arlington. The Wolverines on top 21-17. The good news is that unlike every other time we've played against Michigan, the offense has played well. Minus the interception, Kerry Chosen's look good. He's 9 of 14, 159 yards with a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and then, of course, the pick. Cornell Teamer in his biggest game of his career, he has looked like the real deal. 10 carries, 98 yards, and then Amani Law, 5 catches for $120. The problem is our defense has been pathetic. Michigan has run the ball down our throats, 20 carries as a team for nearly 150 yards. Kane Kunashik with 77 of those yards and 2 scores. C.J. Carr's been effective, particularly as a thrower, but here he is on the read option, scrambling for the first down before taking a big hit by Viliami Manupuna. Carr in the first half went 6 of 7, 117 yards and a score. On 2nd and 4, Kunashik to the left side has plenty of room and is wrapped up near the 20 by Jalen Todd. That run will put Kunashik over 100 yards and Michigan just outside the 20. Carr is sacked on 2nd and 10 by the big fella Athia Keaho. This is Keaho's 4th season here, yet it's his first full sack ever. He had 2 half sacks in his career, but never a full one until right now. Defense is playing behind the sticks again. On 3rd down, it is caught. Nice grab. But a big hit by Jalen Todd. And finally, the defense gets a 3rd down stop after not getting one at all in the first half. Michigan only had 2 3rd downs earlier. Field goal barely squeaks in, but it does for Calvin Moe from 40, and it's a 7-point game. So the defense is able to hold Michigan to a field goal. But in a game that may come down to a battle of possessions, we know we probably need a touchdown here as Ty Lord does not get much. We're not running the ball well so far on this drive, and we're looking at a pivotal 3rd and 8. Chosen looks to throw it. He'll go short. Juke move. First down. Dorian Pepper past the 40. Big play for the Jayhawks as Pepper gets another huge grab. On 1st down, we'll go back for Teamer. Cuts it outside, gets by the defender, tries to juke away from another. He cannot, but that run will put him over 100. 12 carries for a $114. That's nearly 10 yards per carry. We'll go to Ty Lord on 2nd down. Lord with room to the left, gets it past the 30. A nice move by Ty Lord, and our offense is picking up right where they left off from the first half, moving it without much trouble. Play action. Chosen. He'll go short for the true freshman Elijah Parrish. He's been kind of quiet today, but brings it to around the 5. Can Kansas punch it in and tie the game? 2nd and goal at maybe the half-yard line. It's Teamer, and he walks it in. Cornell Teamer, yet another touchdown. His 23rd rushing touchdown of the year, 24th all-purpose touchdown, and Kansas ties the game. Our offense was brilliant in the first half, and it does not look like they're going to be slowing down here in the second half. This game continues to be a shootout, a track meet. It might only take one defensive stop to win the game. So we've got to ensure that that defensive stop is by us. With 3:20 left in the third, Carr starts the drive going short. It's Frank Nicholson with a first down past the 30, tripped up by Javier Callaway. Now it is a 2nd and 9 for the Wolverines. Carr looks to throw it again, under pressure off the blitz. Carr evades the sack, and it's caught! Sweeting breaks a tackle, and Tyrell Sweeting gets near the 25-yard line again of 27. Alpha G was sending pressure, nearly able to get the sack, but instead it's a huge first down for Michigan. Following play, Carr is brought down this time. It's the redshirt senior Roddy Orr. 3rd sack of the game for Kansas. First to not come off of a blitz, so credit to the defensive line for finally winning a rep. This D-line's been good this year, but they're getting eaten alive by the best offensive line in the country. Not that play, though. IU loses a couple. It's Alpha G who brings him down, and it is 3rd and 20. No way we let them convert this. Right? Right? Carr looks to throw it. Has time. Surveys the field. Looking deep. It's caught! Mangum! He's in! Michigan regains the lead on 3rd down and 20. Quincy Mangum scores his 2nd touchdown of the game, and the Wolverines are back on top, 31-24. Even in the national championship, when we're getting sacks, when we're pushing the offense back, it does not matter, because this defense on 3rd and long turns into a bunch of trolls every time. If you exclude the one-play drive at the end of the first half, Michigan on 5 possessions has 31 points. That is inexcusable. Ty Lord with a good run. That'll wrap up the third. 31-24. Offense, 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 and more offense. Right now, Michigan's kind of in the driver's seat, though, because if everybody were to keep scoring, it would be them who has the last possession. So at some point, we're going to have to get a defensive stop. For your 4s in the chat, fellas, our season and our championship hopes come down to these 10 minutes. 3rd and 1, good run up the middle for Cornell Teamer. He gets the first down. Just because we're losing does not mean we can go away from him. He's our best player and needs to continue to get the ball. On 3rd and 7, Teamer bounces off a blocker, gets around 5 or 6, and that'll make it a 4th and 1. Biggest decision maybe of the entire series so far. You best believe we're keeping the offense out on the field, and I think everyone knows who's getting the ball here. Teamer up the middle, gets the first down. His original rushing lane to the left side was clogged. The Wolverine defense did a good job, but he's able to navigate through traffic, find the open lane, and get the first down to keep the drive going. Now we're looking at a 3rd and 6 for the Kansas offense. Chosen calls for a switch at the line. Rajon Jones in motion, as Chosen will eventually look to throw it here. Chosen scrambles to the right, under pressure, and he will run for the first down. Tackled out of bounds by O'Donnell. A good run by Kerry Chosen to keep the drive going. Under 7 minutes to go. Chosen scrambles, intercepted! Josiah Edmond with the pick, gets a block, and no one's going to catch him. 83 yards to the house, and Michigan is up by multiple possessions. Josiah Edmond with the biggest play of the game. A pick 6 to put the Wolverines in full control. Kerry Chosen was on the run. He was looking for Rajon Jones, but he misfired, and that may very well be the difference at the game. All it might take is one stop. Michigan got their stop, and we're down by 14. Chosen scrambles on first down. He's got Amani Law past the 50. There's a real sense of urgency now. We've got to get moving, and we've got to score quick. Chosen's going to have to forget about the pick 6. We need him to continue to be aggressive, look to make big throws as he gets rid of it and throws it away on first down. Chosen has not been sacked since the Michigan State game, so nearly 2 full games without a sack allowed by the offensive line. Up the middle on 2nd down, he's got Elijah Parrish. We knew we needed to score quick, and so far, we're doing a pretty good job. The offense going no huddle. Time is of the essence. On first down, it's Cornell Teamer. He gets wrapped up quickly by O'Donnell. 20 carries now for 150 yards. 2nd and 6. Chosen scrambles to the right. On the run. It's caught! Amani Law in for a touchdown. We needed to move down the field fast after the pick 6, and to the credit of the offense, they did not waste any time. The possession lasts maybe a minute, and now we've got another decision to make. We're going to go for 2, down by 8. Amani Law not in the game. Hakeem Ficken is out wide with Rajon Jones. Michigan's expecting run. They'll stack the box, and Chosen's going to call an audible at the line. Chosen under pressure on the run. It's caught! Pierre Judson, who's never scored in his 4-year collegiate career, is in with the 2-point conversion, and we are within 6. Defense has got to get a stop here. 5.5 minutes to go. Michigan has scored a touchdown almost every time they've gotten the ball. Kunashik loses a yard, though. That's a good start. Monu Okeji brings him down. 2nd and 11. Carr, quick throw is caught by Nicholson. Only a gain of around 2, and it's 3rd and 9. Our defense has not gotten a stop all day, but all they might need is just one. The biggest play of the game so far. Popo in motion. Carr looks to throw it, and he's sacked! On the blitz! Monu Okeji brings him down, and the defense gets their first stop of the game. The offense will have a chance to take the lead. With 4 minutes to go, it's an RPO for Elijah Parrish. That was a risky pass, but it's caught for a gain of 5. As Willie Banks, the All-American left end, 15 sacks this year, hurt on the play. He's been very quiet in this game, though. Kenyon Denbo, the right tackle, has done a fantastic job with him. Ty Lord up the middle gets a few, and now Colton Lewis, another one of the key defensive linemen on this team, is hurt for Michigan. 3rd down and 2, just shy of midfield. We'll go with Teamer up the middle, and he does not get it. I thought in real time he got it. The booth is going to take a look at it. It's going to be kind of hard to tell based on the review whether or not he got it, but in real time, I thought he very clearly was past the first down marker, and the officials would agree, resetting the chains. A huge call to keep the offense. Not that we wouldn't have gone for it anyway, but I'd feel a lot more comfortable here on first down. Teamer with blocks. It's a solid gain of around 8. The clock is in a good spot. We can continue to run the ball here and not be in a rush. Play action. Chosen on the run, hoping someone gets open deep, and he airmails the throw. Rajon Jones was wide open. Gotta make that pass. 3rd and 2. Kansas has consistently ran it on 3rd down. Today they will again. Teamer does not get much, but it is enough for the 1st down as Lewis is hurt once more for Michigan, stopping the clock again. Less than 3 minutes to go now. Chosen under pressure on the run. His pass is incomplete. Amani Law was open, but Chosen was hit just as he was getting the ball out. 2nd and 10 in empty. Looking up the middle, broken up for Amani Law, and that makes it a pivotal 3rd and 10. Kansas has ran the ball often on 3rd down today, trusting their star Cornell teamer, but he goes backwards. Chad O'Donnell brings him down. We've got another decision to make here on 4th and 11, and we're going to go for it. If we want to win this game, we've got to score a touchdown on this drive. That's the thought process. Play action, Chosen, wide open. It's Amani Law with a juke move inside the 15. We have ran the ball consistently on 3rd downs today. We have not trusted the passing game in big downs, but we do there with our season possibly on the line, as that brings us to the 2-minute warning. Amani Law, by the way, 8 catches, 186 yards, and a touchdown. Teamer gets it here on 1st down. It's a gain of around 5, and now we can kind of milk the clock a little bit. We don't want to do it too much in case we don't score here, but we're in a pretty good spot as Teamer gets around 3. That'll make it 3rd and 2 with less than 1 minute to go. The offense still in no hurry. Teamer gets it back, and he will get the 1st down. Now we can fully look to choose some clock, but not too much. We want to make sure we have 4 plays here. Ty Lord in the backfield with Chosen. Play clock at 20, game clock just under 40. Chosen taking his time. He knows that his offense will have 4 chances to punch it in the end zone and take the lead, so there's no reason to try to rush things. The play clock within 5. He's going to have to get it off at some point, and he snaps it at 3. Chosen looks to throw it, and he throws it away. No one was open, so that'll make it a 2nd and goal with just 17 seconds. Lord, again, the running back in the backfield. He gets the handoff, and he's in! Ty Lord with the touchdown, and Kansas is an extra point away from taking the lead. It's Ty Lord, who's been one of the unsung heroes of the offense all year. Cornell Teamer's been the standout in the backfield, but our run game is not as good as it is without Ty Lord. His 13th and by far his biggest touchdown of the year, and now we've got to make this kick to take the lead as Michigan calls a timeout to look to ice Anthony Escalante, the senior. Likely the final kick of his career. He's had some bad misses over his 4 years here, but he can erase all of them with a make. Right down the middle, Kansas up by 1. Michigan has 2 timeouts, and they're going to have enough time for maybe a couple of plays. Given where this score is, we're definitely not going to get overtime, so this is it. The final few plays of the season, and thus technically the series. Michigan has 15 seconds. They'll need around 40 yards to make it into field goal range as they'll start with a gain of 8. Out of bounds, stopping the clock, down to 12 seconds. 2nd and 2 for the Wolverines. Carr looks to throw it. They'll go short. It's a 1st down for Greg Ayu. But they've already used half their clock. They're down to 8 seconds, and they've already used a timeout. And they haven't really gotten that many yards. This could be the last play of the game. Carr wants it all for the heavens. And it's intercepted! Javier Callaway, that is his 10th of the year. And that is going to do it. For the first time in program history, Jayhawk fans have longed to hear this. The Kansas Jayhawks have won the national championship. We have finally done it after 5 years and heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. We thought we were going to get our hearts broken again tonight. Down by 14 points with 6 minutes to go after the pick 6. And the team finds a way to come back and win the game. Head coach Puma Whitlock, who won 2 national championships as a player, holds up the trophy as a head coach. We watched Michigan celebrate a title right in front of us 4 years ago, and we finally get payback. Amani Law, the national championship MVP, with 8 catches for 186 yards and a touchdown. It's hard to argue with that choice. He had a phenomenal game, I would probably pick Cornell Teamer just because we ran the entire game plan around him. He had 27 carries, but I can't complain with Amani Law. He's been great today. He was great the entire playoff run. He's been phenomenal his entire 3-year career. I cannot believe we found a way to win that game. After the pick 6 by Josiah Edmond, my heart dropped. I didn't think it'd be possible, but the offense with 2 big drives and the defense finally gets a stop. I said in the second half, all it would take is 1 defensive stop. We only had 1, but that's all we needed. 6 of 10 on 3rd down, 3 of 3 on 4th down. We made timely plays throughout the game. It was not a perfect afternoon for Kerry Chosen. He only completed 56% of his throws. He had 2 interceptions, but when the chips were on the line, he looked like the chosen one. And now he's a national champion. Cornell Teamer in his final collegiate game, 27 carries, a career high for 174 yards and a touchdown. Teamer, your college football playoff MVP. Teamer finished the playoff with over 400 all-purpose yards and 5 touchdowns, and it was not an easy choice. Amani Law, he was fantastic. He had over 400 yards and scored in all 3 games. Javier Callaway had 4 interceptions, including 1 in all 3 games. In a normal year, any of those 3 guys would have won. Ty Lord was the one, though, with the game-winning touchdown, and I'm so happy for him. He's clearly a starting caliber back, but has sacrificed with Cornell Teamer here, and he got his moment at the end of this game. Only 4 players caught passes. Amani Law obviously led the way, 8 for 186, the national championship MVP, 5 for 69 for Parrish. Dorian Pepper with a few big plays. It was fun seeing our stars like Teamer and Amani Law show up in the Natty, but it was also fun seeing the little guys. Players like Dorian Pepper, who scored. Pierre Johnson, who had the big 2-point conversion. And that play call won us the game, by the way. Afia Kiaho with his first career full sack. Like, those guys aren't NFL players. Yet they all made big plays for us. The offensive line has been unbelievable this year. They were so good in the playoff. Luis Roche was phenomenal. Reggie Chanel was phenomenal. Kenyon Denbo was one of the MVPs of the game with how he matched up on Willie Banks, the All-American. The defense was not so good. They had their worst game of the year. They only had 1 stop, but that's all they needed. Shout out Callaway with another interception, completing one of the best individual defensive seasons we've seen in a long time, probably beating the likes of guys like Kobe Bryant, Marvin Grant, Damani Maxon, maybe even Dekias Brinkley. And then Anthony Escalante made all his kicks, including the game-winning extra point. As for Michigan, CJ Carr, 13 of 16, 211, 2 scores, and the interception at the end. He played a really good game. They were focused on running the ball well, and they did. Kane Kunashik, 17 for 118 and a pair. Him and Teamer both looked like the 2 best backs in the country, but Teamer may have one-upped them a little bit. 4 for 101 and 2 scores for Quincy Mangum leads the way through the air. Their offensive line was pretty much as good as advertised, although the center, Coleman Vivian, allowed just his 3rd sack of his career, that going to Afia Kiaho. And Vivian is a 4-year starter. He was the starting center since his true freshman year. Michigan, of course, had the 2 interceptions, specifically the pick 6 by Edmond. But we scored every other time we got the ball, including the 2 important drives at the end of the game. National champions, boy, does it feel good. I didn't know if this team would ever get to this point, but we were able to avenge our loss back in Season 1 against Michigan. 15-1, national champions in year number 5, beating the Wolverines in an unbelievable game. I told you guys at the end of the last episode that this game was nuts. I was not lying. We'll simulate the week. We'll see who wins the Players of the Week. Coach stability down to a D+. I take it that both of our coordinators are gone. Mo Nuokeji, Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. His 2 TFLs both came on that late drive where we got the stop, including obviously the sack on 3rd down, as Amani Law wins the Big 12 and the National Offensive Player of the Week. We do not get the National Defensive Player of the Week, which is honestly pretty fair. Josiah Edmond had the big pick 6. They didn't give it to Edmond either, though. It ended up being Chad O'Donnell, who had a really good game himself. But I don't get why they wouldn't be consistent, because last week, Randy O'Dwyer had 3 interceptions, but they gave it to Jameer Benjamin, who had the pick 6 for Michigan. So why wouldn't they give it to the pick six this time when O'Donnell was not as good as O'Dwyer last week? Doesn't really matter. Both of those teams lost to us anyway, so who really cares? We finish out the year number 1, and look at all the teams below us. Number 2, Michigan, we beat them. Number 3, TCU, beat them. Number 4, Michigan State, beat them. Number 5, Kentucky, beat them. The 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th ranked teams all lost to us. So clearly we earned this national championship. It was not an easy schedule. We had a really hard draw in the playoff. We did not get to play the Western Kentuckys or the Troys or the San Jose States of the world. Kerry Chosen's first year as a starter ends as a national champion. Had some ups and downs in these playoffs. He threw 6 interceptions across the 3 games. After, again, only 3 interceptions the entire year beforehand. Chosen had some big plays, though, particularly the final 2 drives against Michigan, where he played awesome, capping off a fantastic redshirt sophomore season. He's a national champ. You know who else is a national champion? Clyde Poole. That makes my heart smile. He deserves it so much. This national championship does not happen without Clyde Poole, even though he didn't play at all this year. He walked, so everybody else could run. Cornell Teamer, 1,891 rushing yards and 23 touchdowns, capping off the greatest individual season in the history of Kansas football, and in my opinion, the greatest career in the history of Kansas football. Cornell Teamer's the GOAT. He's going to leave for the NFL after this year. He's probably going to be a first-round pick. 40 rushing touchdowns, 43 all-purpose scores in his career, and now a national champion. What a player. Same can be said for Ty Lord, a guy who's got a very tough decision to make in terms of if he wants to declare for the NFL draft. He's certainly good enough, or if he wants to be the starting running back and come back. Amani Law somehow finished the year with over 1,000 yards. I didn't think it was possible after he got hurt, but he played so well in this playoff run. He will likely leave for the NFL as well as also one of the greatest players to ever lace him up in Kansas history with 2,000-yard seasons. An unbelievable playoff performer, not just this year, but even last year. Like the game against Virginia Tech, he took over the game in the second round. This year, over 100 yards in all 3 games, over 100 yards in the first half of all 3 games, and he scored in each of them. Even though Amani Law is gone, we'll be bringing back Elijah Parrish, 91 receptions as a true freshman. Rajon Jones is expected to come back. Rasheem Diggs, Hakeem Ficken, hopefully Dorian Pepper. Hopefully all those guys are back as well. On the offensive line, we'll be losing All-Americans Luis Roche and Reggie Chanel most likely. I would expect that they will leave for the draft. I'm hoping the other 3 guys all return. And don't forget about Terrell Butts, who started the first season and a half of his career. He got injured. We redshirted him this year. He'll be a redshirt junior and is now fully healthy. Javier Callaway, out of the transfer portal, ended up being the best player on our defense. He had a ridiculously good season, finishing with 10 interceptions, 4 of which in the playoff. He was the number 1 player in the portal, but I did not expect this at all. This kid is different. He might be even better than Damani Maxon, which says a lot because Damani Maxon was an all-time great. Monu Okeji, Jalen Todd, Quantavius Landers behind him in terms of tackles. Roddy Orr, Afaji, Devin Murphy leading the pass rush, although the pass rush was objectively not very good in the playoff. Look at all these interceptions, though. So many playmakers. Landers had 6. Todd had 5. Viliami Manupuna wasn't even a starter, and he had 4. Shout out Anthony Escalante as well. A challenging 4-year career. But he made his important kicks this year in the playoff. As we take a look at the season stats, we'll also take a look at where everyone's career stats are for our team. We'll eventually get into Kerry Chosen territory. He had a similar year to that of Enrique Rambo of Ole Miss. If you remember, we went after Rambo the same year as Chosen. Rambo was a 5-star, and his rating hasn't really progressed that much. He's only an 81 despite having elite development trait. Good God, Gastineau of Air Force, that guy is bad. As we continue to go through the stats, I'll start to talk about some of my plans for this college football 26 cycle. I've got a lot of good stuff in the works that I'm excited to start with tomorrow. I've got a lot of one-off videos that I've been planning. I have a bunch of them written down. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to all of them, but I have a lot of good ideas, and I'm excited for you guys to see our experiments within the game. Before I talk about the College Football 26 Dynasty Series, I do want to point out that Cornell Teamer, the rushing champion in terms of yards, touchdowns, yards per game, and second amongst all starters in yards per carry, breaking the school record for yards and touchdowns. in a season while also finishing second in carries behind Kane Kunashik. Elijah Parrish, by the way, led the entire country in receptions at 91 as a true freshman. I said going into the year he was going to lead our team in catches, and that was my bold prediction. He led the entire country. Trent Aurora in second, the former Kansas recruiting target. We went after him hard in season 1. He went to Ole Miss and ended up being a total stud. Imagine him on this offense if that was not already scary enough. Amani Law with another 1,000-yard season, just the second Kansas player ever with multiple 1,000-yard seasons through the air. Desmond Briscoe being the other. Let's talk about the College Football 26 Dynasty Series. I have not finalized the team selection yet, although I'm starting to get an idea of what teams I'm going to be looking at during my simulation into the future because, of course, I will be using fictional rosters. I do plan on simming either 5 or 10 years into the future and then basing my decision largely on what the rosters look like and which teams might create the most fun and interesting and challenging series. I don't think there's going to be a team reveal trailer. I think we're just going to have the first episode hopefully this Wednesday. Might be Thursday. I'm aiming for Wednesday, though. I hope I know the team tomorrow so I can start to try to give out some clues, and maybe you guys can figure it out before I upload the first episode. As we take a look at the career stats, 3,500 rushing yards for Cornell Teamer. The only other player in college football with over 3,000 rushing yards is Clyde Poole. Who would have thought? That's pretty dope. Teamer is 5th in Kansas history in rushing yards. Clyde Poole, for what it's worth, is in 6th. Teamer has the most amount of rushing yards for a 3-year player in school history, surpassing Gale Sayers. That guy was pretty good. His 40 rushing touchdowns, meanwhile, are 3rd, only behind Devin Neal and June Henley. 2,700 yards for Amani Law, that's 3rd all-time, only behind Desmond Briscoe and Luke Grimm, and he has the most amount of receiving yards for a 3-year player. And then defensively, 30.5 sacks for Roddy Orr in 4 years with us and Iowa. 10 interceptions for Javier Callaway. The 10 interceptions tie Ray Evans for the most in a single season in school history. Evans put up his in the 1940s. And Callaway's already top 10 in school history in interceptions despite only playing 1 year. Now we have one more question to answer. Who will be leaving our school early for the NFL? I had to edit some of our guys' ratings to make sure they would actually go. Teamer's the only one who left voluntarily. But joining him in the NFL early will be Amani Law, Luis Roche, Reggie Chanel, Monu Okeji, and even though he's not here, Quantavius Landers will also be going to the NFL. Whenever I simulated into the players' leaving stage and only let 5 guys declare at a time, and I kind of want to have 6 declare, so Landers will not be on the roster next year because he is going to the league. We're also going to have some of our seniors like Javier Callaway and Roddy Orr join these guys in the NFL. Most of the other players throughout this series on other teams will not be going to the Madden 26 series, but the players who may have formerly been on our team, they will. Isaiah Lamore, for instance, he will be in the first draft class in Madden 26. Jazir Tolbert is staying at TCU for his senior season. He'll be in the second draft class. Sean Pollard is returning to SMU for his junior year. He'll be in either the second or the third class, depending on when he declares. But the other relevant faces who we've seen throughout this series, such as a guy like Hoss Haney, he will go in the long-term sim of the Broncos franchise, although he won't be in the 4th round. He'll be more like the 4th overall pick. Because, my golly, that guy was good. We'll be losing a lot of guys, but others are going to be sticking around for another season. How we're going to have the future seasons of this series, I don't fully know. I've said in the past that we're going to do maybe full seasons in one episode. We'll see if that ends up happening. I'm not 100% sure, but I still want to do something like that. We'll start with Kerry Chosen. I think this playoff run showed that he's really good, but he's probably not ready for the NFL. So he will be returning to Kansas for his junior year, and there will not be a quarterback competition. He will be the starter. Carl Willingham will likely be entering the transfer portal. And now we've got to talk about what Clyde Poole is going to do, because Clyde has 1 more year of eligibility. It says he's graduating, but we redshirted him this year, so he is eligible for 1 more season. He will not be our starting quarterback, so he has a decision to make. Does he enter the NFL? Does he stay here as a backup or try to learn a new position? Or does he enter the transfer portal? Well, he's probably not going to enter the NFL. If he didn't last year, why would he do it now? And he views himself as a quarterback. He was a good starter for us in seasons 2, 3, and 4, and as I said earlier, we do not win a national championship without him. However, he feels like he has a chip on his shoulder. He wants to prove to the world that he's a really good quarterback, and he belongs in the NFL. So because of that, he will be entering the transfer portal, where he will start one more season at quarterback for a new school. Where that will be, you'll have to see in due time. Other key returners include Ty Lord, who is good enough to enter the NFL, but he wants to stick around one more year. Him and Nicholas Scotland-Williamson will lead the running back room. Devin Murphy, who I thought was a shoo-in to declare for the draft, struggled down the stretch. He did not record a sack in his final 6 games of the year, so he will also be returning to school as well. We'll probably lose more players in the portal. We'll worry about that at a later date once we get back with this team, which probably won't be for a few months, but it will be at some point because we've got to see how all of these guys eventually do in the NFL. That's going to wrap up the episode and technically the series. We might have something in the future. Again, I don't know exactly what that will look like, but for now, it's been a pleasure here in the Kansas Jayhawks Dynasty on EA College Football 25. The Jayhawks are national champions. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and this series and are ready for the new Dynasty within the next couple of days on College Football 26. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out. Rock chalk.